All right, let's get into it. Forget what you think you know about stock analysis, because today we are not just looking at charts and numbers. Nope, we're stepping into a war zone. The company at the center of it all is MicroStrategy, ticker MSTR, and it has become ground zero for this high-stakes clash between a really powerful, really seductive story and some brutally painful numbers.
And it all really kicked into high gear with this one statement from Jim Cramer that was so shocking it literally stopped traders in their tracks. On live TV, he declared that for a certain type of market player, the semiconductor giant Nvidia is actually less important than MicroStrategy. Now, this isn't just some hot take, you know? It's a flare being shot into the sky, signaling that the old rules of the market might be getting completely rewritten right in front of us.
So, here's our battle plan for today's explainer. First, we're going to decode what Kramer really meant. Then, we'll dissect the bull's secret weapon, this tactic called the Wham Jam. After that, we'll meet the guy who basically built this entire battlefield. From there, we face a brutal reality check with the numbers. And finally, we're going to pinpoint the one single battle line that could decide this whole war, $155.
Okay, let's start with part 1, Kramer's bombshell endorsement. See, his comment wasn't about MicroStrategy's software business, it wasn't about their balance sheet, no. It was a clear signal that something much, much bigger was happening just beneath the surface. What this really represents is this huge psychological shift. I mean, for the first time, you have the old guard, the legacy financial media, openly admitting that for certain stocks, the story, the narrative, and the unique market structure can actually be more powerful than any traditional analysis. It's basically a validation of a whole new way of trading that just plays by a different set of rules.
And this is really the core of the whole thing. It's a clash of two worlds. You know, the old way of looking at a company was all about the fundamentals, profits, earnings, PE ratios, all that stuff. But the new thesis for MSTR, it's based on pure market psychology and the raw tactical pressure of a potential short squeeze. It is a completely different ballgame.
So if the old rules are out the window, what are the new ones? Well, this brings us to part 2, and the bull's main offensive strategy. Kramer even gave it a name that sounds like it's straight out of a comic book, the Wham Jam.
So what in the world is a Wham Jam? Well, let me tell you, this is not just a few Reddit traders piling into a stock. This is an institutional level attack. We're talking about a high capital, high pressure short squeeze designed with one single purpose: to inflict maximum pain on anyone betting against the stock. The goal here isn't just to win, it's to punish.
And the strategy plays out like a military-style pincer movement. On one side, you have this massive sudden wave of direct stock buying, and on the other, you have a flood of call option buying. Now, that second part is absolutely key, because it forces market makers to buy the actual stock just to hedge their own positions, which adds even more fuel to the fire. The shorts, they get trapped right in the middle with absolutely no way out. For anyone watching this stock, this two-pronged attack is the signature move to look for. But you know, an attack like this can't just happen with any stock. You need the right battlefield, one that's been specifically designed for this type of warfare. And that brings us to part 3, and the man who engineered it all, MicroStrategy CEO, Michael Saylor.
Now, to understand his strategy, we need to quickly talk about something called the float. Just think of it as the pool of shares that are actually available for you and me to buy and sell on any given day. This number, it's the key to everything.
So here's how Saylor plays this game. The company often raises cash by selling things like convertible notes, think of them as loans that can be turned into stock later on, instead of just issuing new shares right away. Why? Because this keeps the number of publicly traded shares, the float, artificially small. And in a battle of supply and demand, a smaller float means any big coordinated buying pressure, like a Wham Jam, has an exponentially greater, more explosive impact on the stock price.
And this is the crucial takeaway. For a lot of traders in this stock, the reason to own MSTR isn't just about believing in Bitcoin, which, yeah, the company holds a ton of. It is now transformed into a belief in the sheer power of these squeeze mechanics and the unique arena that Saylor has built to make it all possible.
So that's the bull's game plan, and you got to admit it's a powerful, compelling story. But now, it's time for a reality check, because the numbers on the screen, they tell a very, very different story. And right now, the bears are winning. Decisively.
And I mean, wow, these numbers are just brutal. Over the last year, MicroStrategy stock has been absolutely crushed, down a massive 63.43%. This isn't just a correction, folks. This is a bloodbath. And it confirms that the bearish pressure has been just relentless and completely overwhelming.
This chart really visualizes just how deep the damage is. You see the current price hovering around $158, but its long-term trend, the 200-day moving average, is all the way up at $323. A gap that wide means the stock's underlying momentum is just fundamentally broken. If you're a professional short seller, this isn't just a signal, it's a giant green light to press your bets even harder.
And here's the really painful irony. When Kramer made that big endorsement, the stock was trading at $175. Since then, it's fallen nearly $17. A sharp drop right after that major mainstream validation just shows you how aggressive and successful the bears have been at punishing anyone who even dares to be bullish on this thing.
But here's the twist. All of this pain, all of this pressure is exactly what sets the stage for the final showdown. Because the more extreme the pressure gets, the more violent the potential release. And that brings us to part 5, the $155 line in the sand.
The bears have been absolutely relentless. But for them to truly win, to completely break the back of the bullish thesis, they have to breach the one single level where all the remaining hope is. So the question is, where is that absolute floor?
The source material is crystal clear on this, $155.10. That is the 52-week low. This isn't just a number on a chart, it is the psychological breaking point. If this line falls, it is likely game over for the bulls.
And right now, the current price is teetering just $3 away from that point of maximum pain. The stock is on the absolute edge of the abyss. And that is exactly where the bulls want it. This extreme danger, this proximity to total failure, it is the perfect setup for their Wham Jam ambush.
So, the stakes at this level are completely binary. There's no middle ground. If the bulls defend 155, the shorts who piled on recently are completely trapped, potentially igniting the massive squeeze they've been waiting for. But if the bears break through, bullish hope collapses, and that will likely trigger a cascade of forced selling as the floor just gives way.
And what if the bulls do win this battle at the brink? Well, their first tactical objective is clear. Reclaim the psychologically important $200 level. That would be about a 26% jump from here. But remember, a move like that wouldn't be because software sales are improving. It would be fueled by one thing and one thing only, pure, unadulterated fear from trapped short sellers.
Which leaves us with this final provocative question. In this new market environment, what is ultimately more powerful? A compelling story that's been engineered for maximum impact, or the cold, hard reality of brutal numbers? The battle for MicroStrategy, it's more than just a fight over one stock. And the answer is going to be decided right here at that $155 line in the sand.